Light of the world, shine on me. Love is the answer. Shine on us all, set us free. Love is the answer.
Welcome, Merrilee. Welcome back for Deeper
Thank you.
today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here again. And I love that intro, Kat. You know, just as a little side note, when I was in high school, we had some production come and do an assembly where they put up all these screens and that song was playing with all this beautiful background and hills and everything. And it touched me so deeply. And I love that song ever since. And then you picked that song.
Well, it has a lot to do with you and your message, which is why I chose it. But then I asked you, and you said that is my favorite song. So it's like perfect.
It's so perfect. So perfect. Okay. So all right. So we're gonna start again. You want me to go over this again? Let me read it. You got your pen handy? Just so you can contemplate later, you know what I mean? Okay, so it says, I trust you is a better compliment than I love you. Because you may not always trust the person you love, but you can always love the person you trust. So I'd like your feedback first on that meme. That was on Facebook. It came up and everybody's like, yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right. And I'm thinking, no, think about it. Let's think about that for a minute. Like I said, it sounds right. It sounds right, especially because it has words that we like. But let's look at it closer. So I trust you. What does trust mean? Do we know how to trust people? What we're looking for? Okay, so Julie, go ahead.
I love this. I love this on so many levels.
Okay.
So when you're putting your trust in someone else, you're giving up your power, first of all. And then when you stay in love, you understand that that person, you don't have to release your power to say, oh, I trust you. You trust in your unconditional love and your ability to see what the other person's showing you. It's not about them showing up in a certain way. It's about you showing up in your love. And if you need to see something, they're going to show it to you. But it's twisted. It's an inversion, right? Because putting your trust in someone else or saying, I trust you. No, you trust the universe. You trust that you're going to get exactly what you need. And you're going to have the abundance to pivot, to show love in a different way. It's just so wonderful to look at through. I'm so glad you brought this up because it just shows how you live in fear that you need to trust somebody else. No, you need to trust in yourself. You need to have your empowerment, your resources, and that person can do whatever their free will says. It's a paradigm of control to say, oh, I trust you. That's just, yeah, I hope I'm being clear because it's just, it hit me so hard when you read that. I was like, oh no. It's not about trusting someone else. You trust yourself and you're going to be okay because you have the support of the universe and you're coming with your free will to show up and serve and be in love. And that person can make whatever choice they need to make. And then it's your ability to see what you need to learn and be in your own empowerment.
Okay, so I hear what you said. I hear what you said. I'm going to give you a little bit more clarity on that, but first I want to hear Rob. What is your take?
Hello. My take is these two things, love and trust, are separate emotions or attributes, and they don't necessarily correlate to each other. They are, as I say, they're individual things, and somehow relating them one way round and not the other makes no sense. So it's illogically, it's just not, doesn't make any sense. If they are related, then it works both ways. if they're not related, which I don't think they are, it might just so happen that if you trust someone, you also love them. But you can love someone and think, Christ, I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them. So, you know, you can't make that connection. That's what I think is logically flawed.
Yeah, that's right. Logically flawed. But yet, you know, we absentmindedly just go, yeah, that's right, that's right, that's right. Everybody's going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, no, no, think. So thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, Susan.
Am I unmuted? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm very confused right now because my brain's already going in different directions and it was 20 minutes ago. But it's exactly where I'm at with my husband. And trust feels like an definition that maybe what I want to be able to trust in him may be a definition in my own mind about what I expect versus what his expectations might be. I trust you because you fulfilled the definition of what I'm viewing as trust and the definition of marriage, whatever. Whereas love is a feeling that often doesn't have words, but I will trust this person more if they fulfill my requirements. I don't know. I'm processing.
Okay. All right. Pens ready? I want to give you first a definition of trust. We want to think of trust like it's your bank account, right? It's your trust account. And when you have a trust account, you put everything in there to protect it, right? From the world. So when we have our trust, it's like a box. It's a treasure chest, okay? And we put everything in this box. We put our heart, our soul, our mind, our education, our valuables, our children, everything that we hold dear is in this box. Okay, this is my trust. And so when I come to you and I think, can you hold this? And we're easily just telling people when they come into our life, can you hold my box? Can you hold my box? And we're trusting them without understanding the criteria for worthiness. Are they trustworthy? If we don't understand the criteria, we're clearly giving our box to people who don't deserve it. And so what happens when they don't care about your box? They don't care what you put in there. You just gave it to them. They're like, okay, whatever. They don't even respect it. They may not respect you. They don't respect themselves. They don't understand how valuable it is. Right? So if you don't understand what trust is, we definitely can't be giving it away to everyone. It's not that it's conditional. It's about understanding what it is. Let me go back to my meme. Okay, so trust is our box. So let me read it again. It says, I trust you is a better compliment. Okay, if I trust you, it literally means there's a criteria here, not conditional, but I understand character. And when you've shown me your character, I know logically, spiritually, intuitively, you know, that you are trustworthy. Logically, I can give it to you, and I know what? I'm not going to get hurt. So it says, I love you. It's a better compliment than I love you. So what does I love you mean? If I say I love you, what am I saying? We say it so easily, so often. And, you know, when we, especially when we come in contact with somebody that we are very attracted to and we want to be in love and it feels good to be in love, and it's, I love you. I love you means I won't hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. And if you understand what trust is, you understand that I can say that and mean it. That I have self-discipline to know no matter what you do with my trust, if I said I love you, I'm not going to hurt you. Okay, that's the promise we make every time I say I love you. It means I will not cause you harm. So how many times do we say I love you to the people around us, and yet we hurt them? We hurt them because we destroyed the trust. Now, when it says, because you may not always trust the person you love, because I made a promise not to hurt you, but I know I don't trust you. You're not trustworthy. Okay. But you can always love the person you trust. Okay. Yeah, I can love the person I trust, but that's like Rob said, it's too. I can trust you because I know you're trustworthy, and I can love you because I understand what self-discipline is, and I'm not going to hurt you. So even though you destroy my trust, I'm not going to hurt you. That's what it means to say I love you. So it's not necessarily a better compliment. We just have to understand what the two mean, right? So if I say I trust you, it literally means what? Let me show you the book. I'd have to find it. Let me see. Because I know that not everybody has the book yet. I'm hoping. Did you want to refer to it? I don't know. Susan, do you have the book with you?
I've got my book.
You got your book? Good. Are you highlighting yet? Dogging
I
around?
have not started highlighting yet. No.
Cool. All right. Have you gotten to the pieces of the rules?
Nope. I'm closer to, I've been listening to more videos in the podcasts.
Mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm just like in the very beginning of it. Because you know what?
What?
Sometimes when something hits me so strongly, I can't read it. I have to get up, walk around and process it and give it days. And that's what was happening.
Yep. That's what happens to every reader. So let me see here. Look at this. Okay. The 52 rules here that we're not to break. When you recognize these behaviors in this person, you understand you can't trust them. Do not give them your box. Okay, it's very clear. So I know you can't read it on here on the screen. So I'm just going to go over a couple of things. Okay. When you're in discussion with somebody, right, and they are avoiding you, they're accusing you of things, if they're dumping all over you, if they're mirroring everything that you say, okay, they're not really listening, if they're defending themselves, if they're intimidating you, if they're demanding stuff from you, if they're making assumptions, all of this stems from pain. Okay, and that pain, that internal pain, is projected out onto the people around them. And if there's no boundary, okay, let's go back to the board. The board is here, there's a line across. I can only play my side. I can't play my player's side. So you have to allow your player to make their move without interference. So when they are dumping on you, that means that they're making a move, a move, a move, a move. They're bringing up everything, and you can't even get a word in, right? That's dumping. So if you can't get a word in, believe me, they're going to try to control you. They're going to control your side of the board. They're going to try to manipulate you. They're going to accuse you of things. They're going to make you defensive. And, all of a sudden you're backing up, going, wait, hold on, right? And you're thinking, well, we have to compromise, right? We have to slow down and we have to compromise. No, we need order. We need to understand that I am not to do that. I'm not to dump on you. I'm not to accuse you when there's something in question, right? And I think, oh my gosh, you really just like you cheated on me. I'm going to just go there. It's easy. You cheated on me. I don't just come out and accuse you of what I know. Okay. Because you have to maintain your king on the board. Your king is your honor and integrity. And so you can't come out accusing people even when you know that's true. You have to have another piece. Mhm. So when, now these are your virtues. All right. This is when you find out, oh my gosh, I don't have any virtues. And that's when it starts to get painful because you don't have a move. All right. Because the first thing you want to do is start breaking all those rules and come out swinging and fighting and accusing people and telling them and proving your point and gathering the army and coming in. No, you have to have patience. If we don't have patience, that means we don't have faith. Faith is our queen. She's the most powerful piece on the board. Okay. You can lose your faith. All right. Just in chess. You can lose her. But the moment you realize, oh my God, I'm not believing in this. I don't have faith in my having patience to let this thing roll out. You've got to get her back on the board. You got to pull back and be quiet. And that takes self-discipline. Yeah. And I could go on and on and on and on, but I'm going to let you ask me a question. Is this making sense? Bye, babe. Okay. Oh, go ahead, Julie. Or whoever. Who's moderating? I don't know.
Unmute, yes. I had an issue, not with what you're saying, but it's like trust and, well, actually it was about humor and sarcasm, because that often gets thrown around in my house. And then when he realizes that he's offended me, it's like, it was a joke. Don't you get a joke? Now I'm being bullied. It's like,
Yep.
so what do you think about that? Sarcasm versus.
Okay, so sarcasm is really easy. Sarcasm causes pain. Okay, sarcasm comes from a place of pain. It's our inability to be funny. It's an underhanded, passive aggressive way to stick it to someone, because there's always a little line of truth in the joke, right? And basically, what is that saying? I don't love you. I don't love you. I'm willing to hurt you, so I don't love you. Now, when they say it's a joke, can't you just take a joke? That player is making allowances for themselves, for their own behavior. And it's your problem. You can't take a joke. These things are outlined so clearly that you don't have to worry anymore. Wait, Peter, can you hear that? You don't have to worry about, I don't know, am I overthinking this? Am I considering too many things? Am I being too, like too soft or too, it's like, why am I so sensitive? And you're thinking, trying to come up with, like a reason or a rationale, how you can bring it back together and kind of take responsibility, right? Because we're told we have to take responsibility, but we don't understand what we're taking responsibility for. What exactly are we responsible for? Number one, love myself first. Number one. So how am I going to love myself first? I'm going to refer to these rules and I'm going to recognize, wow, you just offended me. Not because I'm sensitive, but because you really did it. Because you're sarcastic with me and because you think that it's okay to make me your punching bag. I'm the one that is like this and you just keep throwing it and I got to take it because I said I love you. No. No. Does that help yet?
Yeah, it does. Thanks. And there are other examples, but we'll do that later. I'd like to go on to Susan, if that's okay.
Yeah.
She had more to say on that. Thank you.
So my questions, you were talking, and I lost my little note here about character a little while ago about, is it trust that relates to character or love?
Mm-hmm.
So my brain went to a place where it says we have different aspects of our character that come through or less only depending on circumstances. And I'll explain this in the realm I'm dealing with. Because so two of them with disabilities. And so as we lived most of our lives, we had certain roles to do. Now things have shifted because we don't need to do that anymore. But how do you get out of the roles you were in? So you don't want to belittle a person or tell a person what you're noticing, but is there a time here's how we used to be, this is my vision forward? Or how do you move those chess pieces without confrontation when you want to shift into the new era?
Okay, that's a great question. And if we're listening carefully, and this is why I do my podcast with no video, is because we want to understand with our eyes, and I want you to learn to listen. Okay. What you're saying is, how do I control them while I'm trying to learn? How do I control them? We're not controlling our player ever. So we are committed to going higher. So whatever it is you, player, decides to do, whether you are my spouse, friend, child, which is really hard, it doesn't matter. I am committing to love. I'm going to love myself first. So that means that when they start to act the same way that they always did, and they're insulting you, demeaning you, offending you, disrespecting you, whatever the behavior is, right? You've made a commitment to love yourself first. So you can't come down from the castle. Okay? I want you to imagine that. If we're going to go up high to the most high, then we have to make a commitment to be there. So when people come in and they start at the bottom feeders, and they're trying to pull you down, we're not going to come down from the castle to meet them where they are. Okay, we stay up here. If they can't elevate to our level, they can't touch us. Okay, and it takes a lot of self-discipline and strength. Imagine, trying to get up to the highest part of the castle. You're up in the tower, and there's this rope, and you're trying to pull yourself up, and people are trying to pull you down and pull you down, and you have to find the strength to control yourself, to lift yourself up a little bit higher and a little bit higher. That's what you're doing every time you're trying not to break a rule. And instead, be patient. So, all right, so let me explain the board again so that we know we're in line. The reason why I put it in game form or analogy is so we can follow it logically, okay? Instead of a lot of philosophy about love, and remember we were talking about the sticky notes and all that stuff. All right, so you're my player. I have pieces, you have pieces, and there are rules that we're not going to break. Okay, I understand the rules. All I have to do is make sure that I'm playing by the rules and moving my pieces. I see that you're not going to do that. Okay, if I don't trust you, it's game over. The moment I recognize that you are not trustworthy, it's game over. Let me explain game over, because people go, oh my God, no, we have to work on a relationship. And it's like, we have to compromise. And no, we don't. It's game over. And the reason why is because I am choosing to put God first before my player. I'm going to make sure that I am making my character so polished that those who come around me can feel safe and loved and understand that my integrity is so solid because I know who I am. So I'm not worried about my player. That's on you. You want to break the rules? You want to lose my trust? I'm not making allowances. This is your decision. Okay. And the quicker we can identify our player, the less time, the less money, the less energy, the less drama, all that is cut out of your life. We just say no. So how do you deal with that? Okay. In a marriage, when you realize, oh my God, this has been over for a long time. What do I do now? It gets real, because now you're moving from a place of love to a place of money. Remember, there's only two things in life. It's love or money. That's it. No matter what we're looking at, talking about, it's love or money. We have to understand what side we're falling on. In the marriage, you married for love, let's hope, with the idea of. But when you lose the trust, it becomes about the money. Okay, because nobody's loving anymore. It's about finances. It's about assets. It's about your children. It's about fear, finding yourself, having to start over. You're going to go broke. You got to lose or sell the house. You got to make all these decisions that are very, very scary. And it's a real test of character. Scary as hell. Because when you meet the fork in the road, you're going to be like, okay, well, who am I going to save here? Is it me or is it my player? Am I going to self-sacrifice out of my fear, or am I going to love myself first? It really comes down to that. And it's hard to do that. But every time you make a decision to love you first, the universe gives you something to support you, to say, I got you, keep going. Keep going. And, it doesn't matter where we are in life. When you read the book, you're going to feel bad, period. Because we're going to understand, oh my God, I thought I knew what love was. And I'm guilty. And I understand that maybe my marriage was over 20 years ago. I understand that I've been self-sacrificing, that I have not been able to find the courage, the strength, or the conviction to choose love first. And this is what I'm hoping that more of us do, is to have the courage to put love first in everything that we do. And right now, the way we've learned about love and what it is, it's pretty flowery. It's easy. And that's not what love is at all. When God is love, and love is infinite intelligent, all being, we cannot reduce it down to an emotion. Love is not an emotion. Okay. Love is a behavior. It's a frequency, it's energy. So as that energy comes, where are we? Are we vibrating really low down here? Because love is high. And we need to elevate to that. In order to do that, you have everything, all the formula written out for you, so that there's no guesswork. We can elevate by doing one thing at a time, and that's choosing us first.
So I just ask very quickly, so when you say the universe will give you something,
Yes.
just you realize, or something changes in a relationship, or you get an understanding, or you feel you made the right decision and not in choosing yourself first and not doing more moves.
I'm not sure I understand your question. Did you finish it?
Yeah, I guess I'm seeing where to love yourself and not keep moving pieces on the board. You're choosing love instead. Is that correct?
No, no. So all the pieces on the board are your virtues, okay? That they all represent love and only love. And so with each relationship that we have, we're only going to stick to these 23 moves. That's all we've got ever. So we're going to cut out all of these other behaviors. And what they are is they come out in words. Okay, from the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. And when we speak from fear, because we've been taught how to love in fear.
Okay.
Right? So we think loving ourselves is defending ourselves. Okay? Loving ourselves is giving our player a heads up. Don't do that. Don't make that move. This is what's going to happen. So you start threatening. Threatening is a rule. We can't do that. Okay? So the hardest part about it is chipping away at our ego to get to the essence of what we are. When we realize, oh my gosh, I'm so much more. I have so many walls that I've put up to protect myself from those that I think I love. When really I was just blocking out love, and I can't even get out. So when I talk about the universe giving us a gift of supporting us, right? Remember, love is everywhere. It's the little subatomic particles that are waiting to come together to create something. Because we're the antenna that's putting out, we're the creator. We're thinking, thinking, thinking. So if we're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't stand when you do that, and I'm, you're angry and you're emotional, and you're just telling all these little things what is true. And you don't want that to be true. So you got to stop thinking like that and just hand over all of those behaviors that you don't like in your player and give them back and say, that's yours. I'm just not going to entertain it anymore. I'm not going to allow it take up all of this space. I'm trying to be one with love. And it's my ego, my walls, that are so frustrated with you. So when I'm able to get to the core of what I really am, okay? I'm the stars, remember? The stars in me and the stars without. The barrier is the physical. Okay, the physical is what's keeping us from attaining connection. So we call it a download, but it's really a connection to love. And this is why we experience it when we're out in nature. It's easier for us to let go. We're not being challenged by anything, and we can be one with God. Okay, so what we're trying to do is like like love harder. It's like you got to eke all that love through your pores and go, I am going to do this. I am going to win. I am. I'm not that. I'm not what is opposite from love. I am love and I own it. And so that's when you recognize in yourself, oh God, I'm trying to control that person again. I'm trying to control that, or I'm worrying too much. Why am I worrying about that? Why am I thinking about it over and over and over again? Where is my faith? So until we really understand what all the pieces do, how you put them into play, we don't have that piece on the board. Okay, question?
Yeah, Rob has a question for you.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking, if for me personally, I obviously, you go through life, it's quite brutal, you learn, so I think you become quite stoic. And I have to say, I agree with what you're saying. I recognized maybe 5 or 10 years ago that when people have bad behavior or upset you, it's not my problem, it's their problem. And for that reason, I don't judge. I try not to judge, I would say, and I let things go. And as a result, you accept that you don't get angry and you don't get upset. But of course, it makes you quite stoic. And as a result of that, I think you can end up being quite cold.
Yes.
And so, I personally, I have moments where I mean, if you ask my wife, she says, "Oh, you never tell me you love me," and all this sort of stuff. But I think that's because you go through many years of being quite stoic. I would say for myself, I'm very trustworthy, and I would be all those good aspects. But I don't outwardly flow with emotion.
Okay.
Having said that, in the last few years, and I'm sure it's a change in the environment, I find myself going much more up and down on a roller coaster of suddenly getting quite emotional and then having to sort of control it a bit, to sort of like a runaway train. And anyway, I suppose the question is, what's the answer to sort of somehow remaining quite cool about people's reactions to you, but at the same time managing to sort of maintain that outward sort of sense of giving and of emotional love, and that sort of thing. It's quite a juxt. You know what I mean? You can't have both sides of it.
You got a lot to unpack right there. So let me try to give you some. The game is very complex. Simple. So simple. When you read it, you're just like, oh my gosh. But when you realize how it all comes together and intertwines, you realize how deep it is. And literally your whole view of life, can be overwhelming. So this is what you gave me. First of all, stoic. it's almost hardened, cold, indifferent, unemotional. When we get like that, like indifferent, or I'm not moved by your emotions, my player, you're shutting love down because there's no answer to the emotion. When they're acting up and having a moment and this and that, and so you're trying to stay even keel, right? This is called control. I'm trying to control myself and create a barrier from all that you got going on. So it's difficult in the moment to move forward in love because they're pushing love away. So we can only do this. And when you're saying, no, I don't say I love you that much. Number one, do we understand what that means? Our definition means I'm not going to hurt you. If we're being stoic, indifferent, even keeled, and our spouse is going, wake up, do you hear me? I'm screaming at you, trying to get a response. I need you to love me. I need you to hate me. I need you to wake up, do something, right? And still you're like, I'm trying to just stay cool. And the more that they push, the more control you have to have over your own emotions until it's too far. And then you got to push back. And that's when more rules are broken because they're breaking all the rules to get into motion, and you're trying to not do any of that. And remember, that's them, not me. That's them, not me. It's not going to work. You have to hear what they're saying. What is the gripe? If they are accusing you of being unemotional, okay, you're not affectionate anymore. You don't tell me that you love me. Do you love me? Yes, of course I love you. Now, why do you ask these stupid questions? Right? It doesn't foster trust. And typically, if we've learned to control ourselves, to be stoic, right? Which isn't good. It only works in a power move, but that's something different. In this loving relationship, when we've learned to control our emotions, to say we're shutting down our own ability. And some people will call it, you have a block in your heart and throat chakra. We can talk about blocks in our heart and throat chakra, but if we don't understand what it means, where it's coming from, and how it's looking to our partner, it means nothing. It's just this is when spirituality becomes personality. You're not really spiritual. To be spiritual, you have to be one with love. Let me think what else you said on there. What else did you? I'm trying to think. You unpacked a lot, and my mind was going, okay, so here's this and that. When we
Like,
have time saying I love you, okay, we're not inspired. We've lost our inspiration. Inspiration is the breath of life. When we're inspired, yes, you want to give. It's like you inhale and you exhale. I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by your beauty. I'm inspired by your intellect. I mean, if you go outside and you just see, like, I don't know, all of a sudden a little baby kitten or a puppy comes, you're like, oh, I love that little puppy. You're inspired because of the innocence. There's no fear with the puppy. But with your partner, it's hard to say I love you because you've already lost my trust. And now we're living under the veil of, well, we're married and marriage isn't easy, and so we just have to get along. Kat, did you have something? You're mute.
Sorry. Thanking first Rob for the question because it kind of rolls over into mine, which is, when do you use your grace or your diplomacy? And I've got two situations and you can pick whichever one, so I don't want to throw everything at you. And I was thinking about the people who get upset, they threaten to leave, and you're not exactly sure why. Or instead of just saying, would you do this for me? It's, would be really nice if somebody would take care of this, that passive aggressive. So when do you use your virtues and which ones do you use?
Okay. First of all, that behavior tells me that the trust is gone. That's the biggest struggle, is accepting the fact that the trust is gone. You're still trying to play. So remember this analogy. Remember the boxing ring. Okay. Both of you are in there and the trust is gone. But because you're still in a marriage inside the ring, right? You come together, you're sparring. Who's going to throw the first jab? And you're trying to duck and weave throughout your day, avoiding more pain. So when there's passive aggressive like that, right? And they're underhand, it's like, can't you just come out and ask me? Why do you have to hint around? Right? It's frustrating to us because they're not showing love, because they don't understand that they don't trust you enough to meet the demand. Honey, can you throw out the trash? You're going to get pushback. We've already learned I'm going to get pushback. So I can't trust you anymore because that equals pain. So in the ring, we're trying to avoid the first punch. And when they say, gee, I wish somebody would, you're just like, ah, and you feel it again. It just triggers the fight until somebody rings the bell. And then you go back to your corners and everybody has to cool down. But you're still in the ring and the love is gone. So some people would think like, well, is there any hope? Can we repair our marriage? It's lost. Yeah, it's pretty lost. And that's unfortunate. But it's like a dance. Two people come together, you make a commitment, you didn't understand what trust was, you didn't understand what love was, you went in blind, and now the honeymoon phase is over and marriage is hard, and now there's a lot of compromise, and we're not happy. We don't make love, we don't say I love you, and we live under the same household, and we can tell everybody we've been married for 30 years. It's like, that's not living, it's not life. What we need to do is change the dance. Somebody has to commit to love. And it's really difficult in that moment because if your partner is not doing the same, there's resentment, there's blame, there's victim mentality, there's the giving up. What is the point? You're holding me down. I'm trying to be better. Don't you see that I'm trying to be better? And you're not even working with me. So it gets worse and worse and worse. But you don't have a choice at this point. If you know that there's an answer to you being loved and you choose not to be that because your relationship has already crumbled, you're going to go down with the ship. Okay, remember, everything is about love or money. Love is God, money is the world. That's Satan. Satan rules the world. If we choose not to love, we're allying, we're alliance with Satan. How can our relationships thrive there? It's not. And it's hard. It's scary. But we can do it. We can break through. And when you learn how to dance on your own, you're learning how to love. Your partner will soften. Your partner will learn a new dance. But you've got to be super strong in your conviction that you are going to lead. So, to your point, Kat, if there's guy, I wish somebody would throw out the trash, right? And you're just like, ah. In that moment, you got to love harder. You bypass the passive aggressive behavior and you can inject humor. You can just get up and do it. And you just say, I know, I wish somebody would too. And you look around and you look at him. I guess I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Doesn't seem like anybody else is going to do it. I'll do it. And he might be thinking, it's got into you, but we're practicing being better. We're practicing putting our humor piece on the board. and not being sarcastic. You know, we want to love you better, and you are right in front of me. You, my spouse, are the first person I'm going to practice on. So you're going to see some changes, and it's going to be weird, but I'm going to do this.
I
And
love
then you'll see every single time, every time you make a move in love, something else happens. In the moment you succeed, but it's like your day gets better, you're lifted, you're giving confirmation, you just feel good.
Thank you for that answer. Very good answer, because it fills me with hope, and I can use part of my character, which is humor,
Yes.
to lighten it and change it. And I want to
Yes.
make it clear that when I'm referencing this, it doesn't necessarily mean a marriage. It could also be in a work environment.
Definitely. Most definitely. It's so powerful in the work environment.
Thank you again. Shall we move on to Tim, who's got his hand up?
Yes, I do. Actually, forgive me. Could some of this actually be talking about a judgmental checklist?
It sure does seem like it, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. And to me, um, in a relationship, really, the spark of the relationship is, um, it's really an ignition of unconditional love, where the two of you just flip. It doesn't really matter what the issue is, what the condition is. You literally flip over each other, and you really the whole union of relationships is really holding on to that particular spark, maintaining it. Definitely, you mentioned a great thing about commitment and conviction. Those are part of the foundation, really, that actually sparks and keeps that in its envelope. But the whole ability about relationship, it doesn't matter what the other one thinks or how they act. It's really a subconscious function, and that spark and that envelope of being in that state of unconditional love, you're really committing yourself, not as you think of yourself, but as you think of yourself and the other person in the exact same manner. So there shouldn't be any judgmental conduct other than having the parameters of what your functional aptitude is on living. Care about the four dimensions. Like your physical, your house, your living, your standards, what you want to proceed, how you want to conduct each day with. These are the aspects in everyday living. But
Right.
really, in a sense, forgive me, it's just I feel that you should not actually bring in some sort of a checklist to indicate how you should proceed. It should be magical. And that is the part of unconditional love. Sorry, I'm done.
That's okay. Tim, when did you buy the book? I'm sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, I did. I have not bought the book yet. No.
All right, so we're
Yeah, I know we're probably on two different foundations, but
okay. So just to be clear, you might be judging the book without knowing it, right? Without reading it.
I'm not providing any judgment whatsoever. I just threw that in as a possibility as what I'm actually hearing by this, by the presentation and so on, and just what is being passed around.
Okay, so just to be clear, what is your definition of love?
My love, our definition of love is basically the God within us. It's that God energy that we have to actually see within ourselves. And the key point of that is, as you say, is loving yourself first, knowing thyself, loving thyself, and then having that confidence of yourself to be able to share yourself with confidence in others. And that comes with trust, faith, and integrity. These are more principles as far as I've been brought up and how I feel that love should be in a relationship. Love is really a tool. It's a mechanism. It's everything. I can't remember, John, I think last week or the other couple of weeks ago mentioned it's everything beyond the scope of everything. He, like, I know he was, it was just wonderful, really, in that sense. And it really is. I'm just going really on a principles of what my heart would share if I were in the position of having to actually conduct a relationship with somebody whom I actually love.
Are
And
you
that,
now?
sorry,
Are you in a relationship now?
not at all. No, I love myself and I love my surroundings and my heaven on earth that I've created, basically. So I would say in a form I've kind of grown a long way, and I have gone through slips, trips, and falls many times, and I have approached many relationships. I have gone out with many different variants of other people's. And again, to me, a relationship first off is collecting data about each other and understanding that that data we collect is matching. So those are the things that you build on as a foundation. And as you grow and evolve, really what the end goal is really is trying to be soul mates.
All right, Tim. Well, I appreciate that. Sue has a question. Hopefully, if you decide to read the book, we'll have a deeper conversation. It's on.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Mhm. Sue?
Okay, first of all, I've never been divorced. And I think that my dark night or my place of spiritual growth came through the death of my husband. And the last 10 years of his life, he was in and out of the hospital. And so many people spent that that were my friends or our friends or whatever, it seemed like they spent so much time fighting over BS, little things, and as I sat in the hospital and I saw him dying over and over again, because he would get sick and then he'd have to have blood, then he'd have this, and then he'd have that. Yeah, trying to have faith in the system. And my faith wasn't in the system. And because, I had that time in my life, I know what it means to sit in darkness, in complete darkness, in the shadow of death. Because when he went to the light, I was in complete darkness for the longest time. But it seems like when I sat there and I watched a candle for the longest time, and I went through those steps, and all the people that quote were my friends and our friends never came around. The pastors, the people from church, people from the neighborhood or whatever. I must have been really bad to look at as far as what I was going through. But it was the most powerful thing that I ever endured when I saw that little pin of light come through in the darkness. And my faith has never, ever, ever been in people. And I trust that God, my Heavenly Father, who has been father, mother, sister, brother, best friend, lover of my soul, and the husband to the widow, He will provide for me in the midst of my storm. And that was my storm. You've gone through your storm, and I can't relate to that. But I can relate to the darkness of the night, of the soul, I guess, because it was a trying time. Do I put my trust in this person or that person? There's no one to put trust in, let me tell you. Become a widow,
Right.
and you will see where your friends are. And that's where I was. And no, I can't relate. No, I haven't read your book. I haven't. I really think I could write my own, but it would be a different stance. And I do trust what you're saying is truth. But what I have learned is I agree with you. I had to start loving myself unconditionally at the beginning and then deciding what I believe. And I appreciate, and I did listen to most of the other interview. And I agree with what you're saying. And I want to, read your book because I have no idea what going through a divorce is. But I do know what it means to be in the darkness.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. I can still that there's still a lot of pain there. So one thing, I have gone through a divorce, absolutely. But the book has nothing to do with divorce. And it's definitely not my story. So it's not really about what I've learned going through a divorce. It was what I've learned over the last 15 years committing to love. So it's not really the pain, that it wasn't that at all. It was the pain of choosing to love, of having to let go of so many things, of having to endure the pain of choosing love, because the devil in people is wicked, wicked. And so that's what you're saying, Sue. It's like there's nobody out there that we can trust. And unfortunately, most of us feel that we are trustworthy until we realize how easily we've lost trust, other people's trust in us. And we're walking around blind, insignificant. We don't matter. We have no value to most people. Okay? People call us their friend, right? But if we need them, where are they? Right? And it's because we hold no value. And if we don't hold value, it's because we haven't created any within ourselves. That's why people don't come to our rescue. That's why people don't say, I love you. That's why people continue to impose their will on us, and they're entitled to do it. That's why they can insult us, waste our time, make assumptions about what they think they know without doing any research, without asking questions, without honoring the intellect, nothing. So until we really know who we are, we're literally non-player characters to a whole world out there who doesn't care about our existence. So if we want to be trustworthy, we want to have value, true value, and be the most valuable player in the room, we have to invest in us. I have to make sure I understand what these pieces are. Okay, I'm not judging anyone. I'm working on me. And I know how hard it is to maintain my king on the board, maintain my honor. I know how hard it is to remain in faith when the devil is blaring in my face. I know how hard it is not to over explain my position when there's been an injustice and I want to correct the record. It's hard to keep my mouth shut. It's hard to have faith, realizing that this one move that I make in humor is enough until I allow my player to make a move. This is a skill set, and it's the most powerful skill set that you can have in any arena, is to know what love is and be able to execute. It's not willy-nilly. It's not an opinion. It's not, We've got 1 billion points of light here on this earth, and everybody's got an opinion. And this is why we have not united. You know, there's many Bibles out there that we can read, and we can, you know, put our hat on and call ourselves Christians. But how we behave and the value we bring to the room is the proof in the pudding. How many times are you watching people post Christian, you know, passages and quotes and this, that, but they don't say anything. They don't say anything. They're just going to post that. It's like, no, move that out of the way. Let me see you. Well, I don't have the courage to say anything. I'm just saying that I believe in this scripture. What do you believe in it? What do you believe? Do we even really know ourselves? Do we really? Do we want to know who we are? We have been brought up in a world of doing. Go do that. Don't do that. From a very young age. No, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. No, no. Mom says no. Don't do that. Okay, go to school. Go on. Go on. Go pick up your toys. Do that. Okay? This is how we've been raised. We have not been raised in being. And so if we're really going to love ourselves first, we have to understand what we want to be. And if you don't want to be love, you really got to understand all these problems are from my decision to be contrary to love. You got no one to blame. Especially now, when we have a clear direction, a map that says, I'm showing you how to recognize your player. I'm showing you where to put your trust. I'm showing you how to become more trustworthy, how to exercise your faith. You know, when to move. It's the same move every single time. It's like riding a bike, and then you're becoming it. You're becoming it. You got to keep your king on the board. That's your honor and your integrity. You got to make sure that your faith is in place. If your queen is not there, you're going to lose your king. What does it mean? You just lost the trust of your player. Okay, you just lost trust. What happens when you lose trust? You don't respect that person. I don't respect you. I don't respect what you're saying. I don't respect your time. I don't respect your opinion. You mean nothing to me. Don't think I'm going to come to your rescue. Is that how we want to live our life? With no value to anyone? Right. I want to have value. I want to come to the table and I want to hear you say, I love you. And I want to be confident that you know what that means. Do you know that when you say you love me, you're promising not to hurt me? Okay. So then people say, okay, yeah, okay, I won't hurt you. You're hurting me with your passive aggressiveness. You're hurting me every time you demean my intellect. You are hurting me every time you make me stuff my feelings and walk on eggshells around you so that I don't hurt you. Every time you don't want to hear me, every time you judge me, every time you don't know what you're talking about and you project your ignorance onto me, you're hurting me. So when we start to understand what is causing the pain, we have to look in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, that's me. I'm doing that. So I list out the behaviors not to judge, but to stop doing this. These are the things that we're doing. And if I commit to stop doing this, I know I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not judging you by these behaviors. I'm working on me. And because this is all I know is how to rationalize. All I know is how to bulldoze. Bulldoze. That means I just keep talking and talking and talking, and what you have to say doesn't matter. I'm not going to give you a choice to be heard, to give you your side. I'm going I am going to say everything I have to say to make sure that you understand that I'm right. You don't have to be heard. That hurts. I have to work on that. So when we realize, oh my gosh, I'm guilty of all these things, I'm doing it again. And it takes practice. You have to look at it, listen to yourself, look at it, listen to yourself. Going, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. I made an assumption. And then I accused them wrongly without asking a question first. I need to honor my player. Let me ask you a question. This is why it hurts so much to realize who we've been most of our life and why our relationships are not working out. Why we can't find somebody that we can truly love. And why we can't find somebody who can truly accept us how we are. Because we don't know who we are. So if I don't know who I am and you're seeing me going, I can't trust you, Merrilee, and I'm blind to it, my whole life is going to be alone and lonely. And,
Mhm.
a lot of times we accept that. And then we just say, well, maybe this is my lot in life. I'll just be alone. Right. And we turn to God. All right. What does it mean to turn to God? What does that mean? You don't have a choice. God is love. You have to turn to love. And you got to love harder. That's the commitment. If you're going to let God take over your life, you're saying, I'm going to allow love to take over. I'm not going to take responsibility and put it on this idol named God. God is in me. I hold the essence of love. And so if I'm going to commit myself to love, I better look at myself in the mirror and see what the heck I'm doing wrong. Because I want you to love me. I want you to trust me. And I want to recognize in you why you love me. Why do you trust me? If I see that you're trusting me blind, I haven't shown you any reason to trust me, I can't trust you because you don't know what you're doing and you're going to hurt me. So we are going to call out the pain. That's Satan in this world. That is the illusion of this world under the guise of love. And we're going to commit to being the truth because it's the only way. If we don't choose that, then we're aligning with the enemy. Okay, that was a rant. Any questions? Kat?
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like sometimes you're talking directly to me, but I'm sure everybody in this room has had some of those experiences. And I recognize it's going to take a long time and a lot of practice in order to really integrate that. But my question for you is, when do we use tolerance? Because tolerance and forgiveness, I know it's not the same. So
Right.
can you please explain
Yeah.
that? When it's best to use that?
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to have tolerance for people's ignorance. Okay. Not for their behavior, their ignorance. So they know not what they do. Okay. They don't know what's coming out of their mouth. They don't understand the rules that they're breaking. They don't understand that they're offensive. They don't understand that they're pushing love away. So we have to tolerate it. Keep your mouth shut. Let them be them until they grow out of it. Hopefully they will. Okay. I'm sorry, what was the other virtue? Tolerance and forgiveness? No. Forgiveness? Okay. Forgiveness is not about them. It's not about your player. You're forgiving yourself because you trusted, you gave your box where you shouldn't have, and you got hurt. You got to forgive yourself for that. I didn't recognize my player. That's it. It's always me. I forgive myself. I made that mistake. Oh, guy broke a rule. I forgive myself. I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better. Don't hold on to it. Recognize it. Forgive yourself. Move on. and that's it. And that's what your player does too. And the easier it is in a relationship that you can come forward and go, okay, wait, sorry, I just made an accusation. Let me retract. Your player is going to go, well, that's nice. And now I can, it's like, yeah, the floor is open. What do you want to say? That's love. Yeah.
Thanks, Marilyn. And I also noticed that sometimes even reading something, jumping to conclusions, we talked about this. It's like, that's amazing. We have to take a step back, take a breath, and really look at what's being said, whether it's verbally or in writing. And with
That's
that, I will pass the stick over to Dave.
Okay. Hey, Dave.
Hi. Yeah, I was just talking to a friend yesterday about this situation where she's really focusing more on her loving herself and her spiritual growth. And her husband's like on a totally different wavelength and doesn't get it. And how much that kind of applies to my situation too. And my wife is kind of more focused on, she's very down to earth and practical and survival. And she grew up in a very rough situation. And so she'd like to have a husband that is ready, you know, if civilization collapses and there's fighting in the streets and all that. And that's never really been me very much. And then it's like she knows that I'm into the spiritual stuff and personal growth, and she's fine with me doing that, but she doesn't value it or respect it. She doesn't really see the point, I think, so much, because it doesn't have much to do with survival if things fall apart. So it seemed like a common scenario. And I don't know, I guess I realize some of it is I don't need to have her appreciation and valuing of my personal growth and my self-love. I'm not looking for that, but I don't know. It's just, do you have any general comments on dealing with the situation that so many of us seem to have?
Absolutely. Glad you brought it up. Thank you. So based on what I said before I go into it, does anybody see what Dave just said based on what I've been saying here? It was very clear. Kat?
That you don't feel appreciated for what you're doing, for the value that you bring to the relationship.
Yes. However, it's more clear than that. Okay. Dave is talking about love. He honors love. His wife is in fear. You see? That's why there's a disparity.
Hmm.
As long as she's in fear, in survival mode, she doesn't understand how love is the answer. And this is why you can't come together. You're not living in fear, and she doesn't appreciate you not buying into it.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
Okay. And remember, anything that you look at throughout your day from this point forward, you're going to ask yourself, is this love or is this money? Is it faith or is it fear? That's all it is in every situation with every person, with it doesn't matter where you are. Look at it and ask yourself, where's the love? And are you operating in fear? Is that fear? That's the devil. That's the veil. That is what we're raised under. And until we pull ourselves out to see the truth, all of our perceptions, all of our definitions, our rationale is going to be sucked in over here. And we're going to think it's true. We're going to think it's logical. And that was another thing you said, Dave. She's logical. You're spiritual. Okay. What that means is that your right brain, creative, love, God. She's left brain, logical, analytical. Okay. That's typically what a man is. Men work from the left side. Women are creators. They visualize. When there's that break in the two, unfortunately, it's going to continue that way until it's no more, because she's hurting you by not recognizing that you are love, that's what you honor. She's not recognizing you, and that hurts. When somebody causes you pain, it takes away the trust. Once the trust is gone, the king is off the board. You can't move pieces around anymore. It's hard to get the trust back. So, in the same vein, because she is operating from fear and she doesn't understand that you're not buying into her fear, and as her husband, you better start packing some food away and cutting wood and all this stuff and preparing, right? Go get yourself a generator and be crazy. So, because you're supposed to protect her. So it's twisted. The woman is acting like the man, and the man is acting like the woman, and she wants you to come over to her side and act like a man. You see how it is? Twisted.
Yeah. I've been willing to do, practical things like, we have some self-defense things and we have some gold and, we have a generator, I'm glad to do some of that because it is practical and there may be a need for that, but I don't think I'm going to go live in the woods for a week and learn how to survive,
Right.
off of roots, or something.
So to
That's not me.
that's right. Let me say this. When we live in love, it's faith. All right. So when we make the Most High our dwelling, we're going up the tower, right? We're in the castle. All of this stuff that's fear based is at the bottom. That's the cesspool. So when the world comes to an end, okay, and all of Satan and his minions crash and burn and are forever taken away, we will not be part of that. We are not going to be suffering. Okay. We only suffer if we're there in the cesspool. You need to elevate. Now you're too high. Once you're up high, the most high, okay, the Bible says, I will command my angels where you are concerned to lift you up. Okay, so you will tread on the lion and the serpent. It means literally that you got nothing to worry about. Just do what I'm saying to do. Just love. Have faith in me. Love. Somebody who is indoctrinated by the system and who lives in fear, it's really hard to make that jump because they're ego based. When your ego is that thick, you're being held down, you're weighted to the earth, you're heavy, heavy with concern. The more you unpeel all of that, the higher up you go. And now you're safe. And that's why love is the answer.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, Susan? You had your hand up?
Yeah, I like the statement you made. There's tolerance for ignorance, and it's taking me to how so many relationships have changed in the past 3-4 years, and how we used to be able to walk into family gatherings and you just all knew your role, and you played out those roles and you knew they would happen, but now there's something different happening, I'm sensing, because the people that want to be in their truth are standing a bit differently. Anyways, I don't know whether this is more of just a comment or looking for a comment from you, but it's producing a lot of practice theme, because I find we're not walking into the same scenarios anymore. It's like the game is going on in many different relationships.
Always.
So that's sort of what, so it's like this is a mental work, right? Because you want to be aware of it. And then also it's of the heart, because you can feel it. So it's anyway, that was just sort of something that came to me. And then if you have a comment, that'd be lovely.
So we are changing. We're definitely changing. We're trying to find our way home. Okay. And everybody's, in their own opinion and own understanding of love, they're trying to find their truth. But again, if we're all trying to, like, we just don't have one thing that we can go to and go, "Ah, I remember. Okay, don't judge. No defending. I'm going to walk into that party and I'm just going to keep my mouth shut so I don't hurt anybody, just to be careful and listen to what they have to say. And then respond by moving a piece. That's all you have to worry about. Now, when we talk about people finding their truth, or standing in the truth, and it changes the energy in the room, remember, love doesn't cause pain.
Right.
So when you stand in your truth and you hold your boundaries, if you're causing somebody pain by doing that, we have to really have the critical thinking skills to understand how we're causing the pain. Is it because their ego is offended, right? Which we have to be very aware of, okay? Or is it because I feel entitled to tell you where my boundary lies? I feel entitled to hold or create a boundary to tell you you're not going to behave like that anymore. That's painful, and we're not entitled.
Mm.
Yeah. So, in that scenario where we're walking into a group of people, the idea is to recognize your player. Your player is the one that you're talking to in the moment. Everyone else is a spectator. You have to be aware of your spectators, because how you treat your player, other people are watching, and you could lose their trust in a moment and you don't even know it. All of a sudden, you've just been moved to the back of the room. You are a non-player character. Tough. So when we talk about unconditional love, right? Unconditional, we're supposed to love unconditionally. That's twisted. We don't understand what that means. Unconditional love means that, first of all, if the ocean represented love, vast and wide everywhere, it's water everywhere, okay? It's unconditional. The moment we put the ocean water into a glass, the condition is the glass. There's a boundary holding the unconditional into the condition. In the same vein, we are love. We are vast. Okay. We hold the power of all of it, but the condition is the vessel. It's our physical, and that physical gives us free will. Free will is one choice. It's either choose to be love, the water inside us, the all, or we honor the vessel, and that's fear that lives in this world. That's the ego. Make sense?
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. So unconditional love, when we say, well, I'm going to love you unconditionally, it doesn't mean that I'm giving you free license to be however you are. Or if I say I want you to love me unconditionally, can't you just accept me the way I am? Well, if you can't, that's your problem. That's a crutch. That's getting me off the hook for trying to be better, to improving myself by asking you to love me unconditionally. Okay. When I say I love you, remember, I'm not going to cause you pain. That means that no matter what you do to hurt me, I'm not going to hurt you back. It's unconditional. That's unconditional love. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to seek revenge. I'm not going to defend myself. I'm not going to accuse you of all the things that you've done and give you the laundry list of all the things that I've done that are so wonderful. All of these contribute to pain, division. We can't come together that way. It literally means that two bodies, two egos, okay, that are separated by the flesh cannot come together. until we both commit to being the unconditional love that we are, that's when we unify. We can all do that. It doesn't matter if we're spouses or friends or coworkers, we can all do that. And we have to understand how that applies to being a parent, because we're raising our children in fear every day. And so we're continuing the cycle of money. It's whole money, survival mode, scarcity, not being able to, humble ourselves, say, you know what? I'm going to commit to myself, and I know that I'm not perfect. And now I realize that you're imperfect as well, because you don't know what love is. And so in your best, everything that you know, you're trying your best to love me, but I know you're going to hurt me because you don't know what it is. This makes sense. So until we recognize somebody who understands what love is and committed to it, that's when we really show our appreciation. That's when we really look at that person and go, wow, wow, I know the work that you've done. I know how special you are, how truly committed you are to love. And I can trust you. And I want you to be here with me. I want you at my table. Speaking of which, the table. We want to be at a table. I want to be able to trust you. And people say, well, I keep my table small. I only have a few friends. It's because we don't know what love is. It's because literally we can't give our trust to that many people. We would have a ton of people at our table if everybody committed to love. It would be an open source. There'd be no boundaries. Everyone would be free to fall in love with whoever the heck they felt like, because we're all safe. Can you imagine? We're all safe. So it's not just a matter of, well, I got to get to know you. I'm going to, invest a few months and then, well, no, we've all committed and we understand where we're at. And I can love you fully, and I can express myself fully to you without fear that you're going to misunderstand me. I could tell you, Susan, I love you. I just love you. I adore you. I see you. Thank you for being my friend. Don't we want to hear that? We really want to be loved. That's all we want in this world, is to be loved. And we can't do it. We're like bound. It's like, I want to love you, but damn it, I don't know what it is. I don't know what's keeping me bound up. And it's the lack of education. Nobody taught us anything. It was all based on control and condition. If you're good, mommy buy you a toy, conditional. Right? And if you
Yeah.
take the trash, maybe you get a little cookie tonight. How many marriages we don't have sex anymore? Don't want to. I can't even think about it. I don't even want, because the trust is gone. The love is gone. The appreciation, the adoration, the little things, walking down the hallway and saying, you're just so beautiful. I just love you. When a man can do that, a woman is inspired to let go and to love more. She will adore that man because he makes her open up and to bloom. And I hear it all the time, how men complain about women, and they're talking about, well, how long do I have to date her before we have sex? That's ridiculous. We can't put a time limit on that. It's not 3 dates in or 3 months in or until you're married. Or can you trust them? That's what we're looking for. And until we know really what that is, we shouldn't be trusting anybody.
Mm.
Yeah. Tim? Mhm. Tim, do you have something?
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking of Greg Braden session I saw a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things he was saying too about effective communications is how to ask a better question. And that's really the evolution. But to me, years ago, when I was in my younger term, I was really kind of a self-centered son of a gun, egotistical, and everything I touched, I was good at. But my father and I did not get along well. He wanted another girl. I was the boy in the family. Anyways, he belittled me and badgered me a lot. And I had reflected very much the same. And when I was about 13, I actually had an experience where I heard somebody say, the boy eventually almost replicates the father. So the boy sometimes can carry on the same attributes. So if the father's an alcoholic, the boy might become an alcoholic, and so on and so on. And it actually reflected in a lot of the things I did. My ego really got inflated and it got out of my control. And I really was not quite aware of it. As I started to evolve in through school and education, some things came very naturally to me. My sister actually was in real estate. She came across another human dynamics course. It was called Adventures and Attitudes. And she thought my mom took it. And then they both came and asked me and said, you should take this, Tim. It changed my life dramatically, 180 degrees. And the course was basically a business administration course on human dynamics. And the human dynamics really was based on aptitude and attitude, how we share this energy between each other. And the foundation of the course actually really all evolved on some of those principles, as well as effective communication. And effective communication is being able to test, sample, touch the waters, find out if it's cold, if it's warm. These different things we test all the time. And the effective communications are being able to ask a question without having to base reference to emotion or another response where somebody is not paying attention.
Okay. Tim,
Those effects.
thank you. I appreciate that. So if you don't mind, I'm going to use you as a lesson for everyone. Okay. Do I have that? Do I have your permission? Sure. Okay.
Yes.
All right. This is where we tolerate. Okay. We're tolerating you. And the reason why we're tolerating you is because all of these good people have come here today to see me and to listen to me. And they've come here to listen to what I've written in the book and what I have to say. And you're not asking me a question. You are educating us all on programs we know nothing about. So that's where we know not what we do. Okay, so it's not enhancing your knowledge or our knowledge of you and your understanding. It's telling us that you're being rude to me. Right. So, and I'm taking the liberty of showing you yourself. This is what we're learning from the book. Okay, so it's literally a mirror to show us who we really are. And even though I'm glad that the program helped you, that's wonderful. But it's disrespectful for me because we're talking about the game right now. We're talking about love and how important it is to learn how to do that. And you're taking us out of where we're at here to go somewhere else. So this is a lesson in self-awareness. Yeah. So
Totally agree. Thank you.
thank you.
Forgive me.
That's all right. Thank you for allowing me to show us in a real time. All right. Anybody else? Jeffrey?
Yeah, I'm just curious, how, what you think of the love languages and how you would apply them. to this? Is it something that's more superficial, or is it something that's integral to expressing love or feeling love or experiencing the love?
Okay. Well, okay, so the 5 love languages did very well, and we tried to understand. But if we look at all the love languages, words of affection, right? Quality time. If we break them all down, we understand that we all want all of them. Okay, we all want all of them. And if my love language, let's just say, is gifts, I really like it when you give me a gift, Jeffrey. Makes me feel loved, right? That doesn't say anything about your behavior. So every time you disrespect me, you demean my intelligence or my desires or my emotions, every time that you avoid something that I'm trying to bring to the table, you're hurting me. And if you understand that I like gifts, you're going to dismiss your behavior and not be accountable to it by bringing me flowers. That doesn't work.
So it sounds like people often lean on the love language as compensation for their shortcomings.
That's right.
Okay. So how might we use the love languages as not compensation? Is there some other focus?
Mm, I think the beauty of the book is to point out what we all love. So if we're lost and we have that book and we want to do something more loving, right? We'd go down the list and it's like, I'm going to buy you a gift. Or I'm going to plan a trip and we're going to have quality time together, right? Or, I haven't said I love you in a while. Let me tell you I love you. Let me tell you how much, right? You know, or I haven't even held your hand in a while. Let me grab your hand. Let me show you that I love you, right? So it's really good to remind us of the things that we're not doing that we could be doing more of to show each other that you know what you mean something to me. Oh, I recently with my I have 3 boys and a girl, and my oldest is 31, and my daughter, being the youngest, just turned 23. And I know with all 3 boys, they're men, they're grown men, and they're still my babies, they're still my sons, and I want to remain the title of mom. And so I don't want to be I don't know if intimidated is the right word, but it's like now that they're men, they're not little boys, so I can't coddle them. I don't do all, you know what I mean? Maybe Italian moms do all that stuff, but we kind of acknowledge that our boys are grown up to men, and it may uh, put like a barrier in our ability to touch, to just show some sign of affection. And I have made a concerted effort to really look at them and just rub their back, hold their hand for no reason. It doesn't matter that every single day that we see each other, it's "I love you, mom," or we always say "I love you." We always hug and everything. The love is definitely there, but it's the little things. Sometimes you just need somebody to reach out and hold your hand and say, "You're still mine. I'm here and I love you." It's those things that we're missing in our life from everybody. We can all do that. If your friend or your coworker, whatever, imagine if you just reached out and held their hand. And you're like, "What are you doing?" You throw them off and then you laugh. And immediately there's a bond, there's trust. It's like, thanks. Or if you come to somebody's rescue, and you offer a compliment, you love harder. We all need it so bad that it's really hard to give what we don't have.
Yeah, this is great. This reminds me of the idea that it's whatever we believe is going to come out in our actions, our language. And if we can align if we truly believe something, our actions will be aligned with it, right? So it's like, okay, you're not scolding somebody, you're not ignoring them. Um, And these are all, in alignment with your belief that you have a love for someone.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Merrilee.
Thank you. I appreciate the questions. It really gives me the opportunity to go deeper. So I really want, the feedback. But I know we're really over. Weren't we supposed to go 11:30?
Yeah, but I didn't want to interrupt anybody. There are some really good thought threads going here and some comments in the chat. And is there any final word from you? Otherwise, I have a little outro video that I wanted to add to the end of this.
Anybody has any, parting words, that's fine. I don't really mean to cut it off, but I know that people are like, it's supposed to be 11:30 and they have to leave. And I, I don't want to hold you hostage or anything. So no, but I appreciate everybody showing up and just hearing what I have to say.
And if anybody wants to send a message or look more into Merrilee, her website is merrileeofsolana.com. And I actually have that in that little end video. But something that posted, you've been talking a lot about us being the love. And it's something that I love to use at the end of some of my articles, which is be the change you want to see in the world. We can't go out and blast everybody. It has to start within, and then it radiates out. And Jeffrey knows what I'm talking about with consciousness. When we elevate ourselves, we elevate those around us. So one soul at a time.
Yeah, we have to be the light, like really be the light that we're talking about, and understand what that means. So yeah, again, thank you everybody. Thank you for being here with me. And I just hope you choose love.